Imagine, during Christmas dinner, my son-in-law poured a bucket of slop on my head and said, "Here's the soup you asked for." Instead of getting angry, I calmly wiped my face, took out my phone, and dialed a number. "The $1 million gift is canceled," I said. "Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and write in the comments what time it is where you are now." I was sitting in my study when Jennifer appeared in the doorway, her smile bright against the December gloom outside. The afternoon light caught her hair the way it used to when she was 8 years old, spinning in the backyard. "Dad, tomorrow's Christmas Eve. You have to join us. Everyone's coming. Michael's college friends, some people from my office. It'll be wonderful." I pressed my hand against my abdomen, feeling that familiar burning. Dr. Richardson had been clear about the ulcer last month. "Stress makes it worse," he'd said. "Rich foods are out." "I appreciate it, sweetheart, but my stomach's been giving me trouble. Dr. Richardson says I should stick to bland foods for a while. You all enjoy yourselves." Her face fell. For a moment she looked genuinely disappointed, and something in my chest softened. "No, absolutely not. I'll make you something special. A proper soup, nothing heavy. You can't spend Christmas Eve alone in your room. Please?" I studied her expression, searching for something I couldn't quite name. "You'd do that? Make something separate just for me?" "Of course I would. You're my dad." She smiled, but something in it didn't quite reach her eyes. The observation lodged itself in my mind, like a splinter. After she left, I sat in the leather chair I'd occupied for 35 years, reviewing investment portfolios. My fingers drummed once on the armrest. Outside, snow had begun dusting the yard, covering the brown December grass in white. My mind drifted to last summer. Larry Bennett's office had smelled like old books and furniture polish. I'd signed the preliminary documents while he reviewed the details in his careful lawyer's voice. The house on Meadow Road, 3 bedrooms, updated kitchen, perfect starter home, $1.05 million. Jennifer had cried when I told her. Actually cried, tears streaming down her face while she hugged me. Michael had shaken my hand firmly, looked me in the eye. "You're the best father-in-law a guy could ask for, Harold. Really. We'll never forget this." The closing was set for December 26th, right after Christmas. A perfect gift. I opened my desk drawer and removed the folder. Donald Carter's business card was clipped to the front. Carter and Associates Realty, serving Greenwich since 1987. I didn't read the documents, just touched the folder, ran my thumb along the edge. Then I closed the drawer, slowly, deliberately. The next afternoon I came downstairs for water. My throat was dry, and I'd been working through some old investment reports, keeping my mind occupied. Michael stood in the kitchen, barking instructions at a young woman in catering blacks. Rental chairs were stacked near the dining room. Cases of wine lined the counter. "Need any help with the preparations? I could—" Michael barely glanced up from his phone. "We've got it covered, Harold. Professional caterer handles everything. Wouldn't want you overdoing it at your age." "I'm 65, not 90. I can still manage to—" "Really, it's fine. Go rest. That's what you're good at these days, right?" He laughed, but it wasn't friendly. The catering assistant busied herself with wine glasses, her shoulders tense. I noticed how Michael positioned himself between me and the counter space, forcing me to navigate around him. He didn't move aside. He occupied my kitchen as though it belonged to him, his movements proprietary and assured. The young woman glanced between us, uncertain whose authority to follow. I retreated upstairs without comment. That evening I sat at my desk, reviewing quarterly statements, when I heard voices in the hallway below. Jennifer and Michael speaking in urgent whispers. I moved closer to my door, the old floorboards creaking slightly under my weight. "Just need to hold it together through closing. After that—" Michael's voice, low and tense. I know. But he's still my father, Michael." Jennifer sounded strained. "Your father, who's been sitting on a $2 million house while we've been cramming into the guest room for 2 years? Come on, Jen. We've earned this. Okay. After the 26th, everything changes." Her voice was barely audible. The staircase creaked under footsteps heading down. I stood in the gathering darkness of my study, my chest tight. The words repeated in my mind, arranging themselves into patterns I didn't want to see. Later, I picked up my phone. Larry answered on the second ring, his voice warm and familiar. Larry? It's Harold Warren. Sorry to call so late. Harold? No problem at all. What's on your mind? That house closing on the 26th. Everything still on schedule? Locked and loaded. Just need your signature and the wire transfer. Your kids must be thrilled. I paused, watching snow fall past my window. Yes, thrilled. That's exactly the word. The silence on the line stretched for a moment before Larry cleared his throat. Everything all right, Harold? Fine. Just wanted to confirm. Talk soon. I stood at my bedroom window, overlooking the yard. Below, delivery trucks were pulling away into the twilight. Michael stood in the driveway, directing a worker with exaggerated authority, gesturing broadly like a conductor before an orchestra. Jennifer emerged from the house, wrapped her arm around his waist. They looked up at my house. My house. And Michael said something that made her laugh. His hand rested on her shoulder with casual ownership. Jennifer appeared at my study door an hour later. Dad, everything okay? You've been up here all evening. I closed the document folder on my desk. Fine, sweetheart. Just going over some paperwork. You work too hard, even in retirement. Tomorrow night, relax, enjoy yourself. I promise I'll make you the best soup you've ever had. I'm sure you will. I watched her face carefully, searching for the little girl who used to bring me dandelions from the garden. Love you, Dad. She blew a kiss and disappeared. Love you too, I said to the empty doorway, but my expression remained troubled. Tomorrow night, I thought, standing at the window again. Tomorrow night, I'll see how this plays out. The next evening arrived, 7 o'clock. I heard voices and laughter drifting up from downstairs. The sound of my home transformed into something unfamiliar. I paused at the top of the staircase, my hand on the polished oak banister that had been there since 1993. Below, my living room had become a festival of strangers. Voices overlapped in cheerful chaos. Wine glasses clinked. Someone laughed too loudly at a joke I couldn't hear. I descended slowly, each step deliberate. Several guests glanced up. A few nodded politely. Most ignored me entirely. Michael stood near the fireplace, animated, gesturing with a tumbler of whiskey. His face was flushed. Jennifer moved between kitchen and dining room, playing hostess in her emerald dress. When she spotted me, her smile froze for just a moment before she approached. Dad, you came down. How are you feeling? My stomach cramped on cue. I hadn't eaten since lunch. Crackers and weak tea. The rich smells from the kitchen made me queasy, and the sharp alcohol vapors in the air didn't help. I touched her elbow gently. About that soup you mentioned, sweetheart. My stomach's really bothering me. Could I have some now? Her face flushed. She glanced toward Michael, then back. Oh, right. The soup. It's still cooking. On the stove. Needs to simmer a bit longer. I studied her expression, seeing the truth in the way her hands fluttered to her neck, then her hair, then clasped together. Is it? I don't smell anything cooking. It's a slow simmer. Very gentle. Her voice pitched higher. 20 minutes, maybe 30. Can you wait that long? There was no soup. I could see it in every nervous gesture, in the way she took a half-step backward, putting distance between us. 20 minutes, I repeated quietly. Sure, sweetheart. I can wait. I moved to sit in my leather armchair, the one that had been mine for 15 years, but someone's coat was draped across it. I stood awkwardly near the bookshelf instead, pressing my palm against my abdomen, closing my eyes briefly against the discomfort. Michael's voice cut across the room, loud enough for everyone to hear. The old man always interferes with his whims, doesn't he? Special dietary needs, special timing. Several guests turned. The room didn't go silent, but conversations dimmed. A man in a Yale sweatshirt smirked into his wine glass. What? It's true, Michael continued, his words slightly slurred. Every family gathering, it's about Harold's stomach, Harold's schedule, Harold's comfort. I stepped forward, my voice measured and calm. Michael, this is my house. I'm asking, politely, for you to show me some respect. His smile turned ugly. Your house? That's rich. We've been living here 2 years, Harold, taking care of you. This feels like our house at this point. The temperature in the room dropped. Jennifer's face went pale. Michael, stop it. You're drunk. He whirled on her. I'm not drunk. I'm finally being honest. Someone has to say it. Say what, exactly? I asked quietly. That you're a burden. The words came fast now, fueled by whiskey and audience attention. An old man clinging to past glory, living in a house way too big for him, expecting everyone to dance around his needs. You should be grateful anyone bothers with you. Most men your age die alone, forgotten in some nursing home. The room went completely silent. Someone near the back shifted uncomfortably. I felt eyes on me from every direction. I see, I said very quietly. Is that what you think? It's what everyone thinks. They're just too polite to say it. What happened next occurred fast but felt slow. Michael set down his glass with exaggerated care. He walked toward the kitchen with theatrical purpose, yanked open the cabinet under the sink, and retrieved a metal bucket. Kitchen scraps from the party prep filled it, vegetable peels, discarded food, greasy water with a slick sheen on top. The smell hit me even from across the room. Several guests gasped. "Michael, what are you—" Jennifer started. "You want your special soup, old man?" Michael crossed the room in 4 strides, his eyes glassy and bright. Here's your soup." He lifted the bucket high and dumped the entire contents over my head. Garbage slid down my face. Potato peels stuck to my shoulder. Liquid dripped from my nose, my chin, soaked through my shirt in cold, greasy rivulets. The smell was revolting. Onion skins, coffee grounds, eggshells, rancid water. For 3 seconds, no one moved. Then someone giggled. The giggle became a laugh. Soon, half the room was laughing, some covering their mouths, others openly howling. The man in the Yale sweatshirt actually clapped twice. A woman near the dining table had her shoulders shaking, unable to control herself. "Bon app? Tit?" Michael grinned triumphantly. Jennifer stepped forward, her hand outstretched. "Michael, you shouldn't have done that." But she was smiling too, trying not to, pressing her lips together, but smiling. I reached up and removed a piece of lettuce from my cheek. I pulled a cloth napkin from the side table, one of the good ones, monogrammed, and methodically wiped my face. No hurry, no theatrics, just careful, almost ceremonial cleaning. Then I removed my phone from my pocket. My fingers were steady as I typed, "Donald, cancel the Meadow Road purchase immediately. The deal is off. The $1 million gift is canceled. We'll call tomorrow to confirm." I pressed send. The message confirmed with a soft chime. Michael's grin faltered slightly. "What are you doing? Harold? What are you—" I looked at him, just looked at him for a long, quiet moment. His face was still flushed, still triumphant, but something flickered in his eyes. Uncertainty, perhaps, or the first cold touch of consequence. Then I turned and walked to the stairs. My footsteps on the hardwood were the only sound in the now silent room. Behind me, someone cleared their throat nervously. I heard Jennifer whisper something urgent, but I didn't turn back. I climbed the stairs slowly, feeling garbage drip from my clothes with each step. At the top, I walked to my bedroom, entered, and closed the door with a soft click. The lock turned with a quiet final sound. Christmas morning arrived with silence. I woke in the same clothes from the night before, dried garbage still flaking from my collar. My bedroom door remained locked. Around 9, soft knocking began. "Dad, please, I brought you breakfast. Coffee, toast, just how you like it." Jennifer's voice came muffled through the wood. I sat on the edge of my bed, staring at the door, said nothing. A tray settled on the floor outside. Footsteps retreated down the hallway. 20 minutes passed before I opened the door a crack, retrieved the tray, and locked myself back inside. The coffee had gone cold. Starbucks dark roast. 2 Splenda, exactly as I took it. Whole wheat toast from the Pepperidge Farm loaf in the pantry. I ate nothing, just held the mug, looking out my window at snow falling on Round Hill Road. Christmas morning in Greenwich, and I was a prisoner in my own home. Or maybe they were the prisoners. They just didn't know it yet. I opened my leather moleskin notebook, the same one I'd used for client notes during 35 years managing portfolios, and began writing. Not emotional journaling, financial documentation. Column 1, dates. Column 2, amounts. Column 3, purposes. June 2019, $30,000 wedding contribution. October 2022, $50,000 investment in Michael's AI startup, failed, by March 2023. November 2022 through present, $800 monthly for utilities, insurance, groceries. 24 months, $1,900. Rent value of their guest suite. Conservatively, $2,500 monthly. 24 months. 60,000 foregone income. Total, $159,200 over 5 years, not counting the canceled $1,000,000 house. My pen paused over the paper. My handwriting remained steady, muscle memory from decades of signing documents, reviewing statements, marking corrections. I added a final note: return on investment, humiliation, contempt, betrayal. I closed the notebook. Numbers don't lie. Numbers make things clear. My mind drifted through the past year, sorting memories like files. Last January, Jennifer asking about retirement accounts, mentioning estate planning, suggesting I update my will. March, questioning why I kept such a large house. Wouldn't something smaller be more practical? July, after I spilled hot coffee and burned my hand, she didn't ask if I was hurt. She asked if I had considered assisted living, just to be safe. August, Michael joining these conversations, talking about maximizing assets, liquidity, not letting property values sit idle. September, the house gift discussion began. I'd thought I was being generous. Now I saw differently. They weren't grateful for the gift. They were impatient it took so long to arrange. Each memory sharpened something inside me. My daughter hadn't transformed overnight. It was gradual. Death by 1,000 small betrayals. Over the next 5 days, Jennifer knocked twice daily. Christmas night, December the 26th morning, evening, the 27th. Each time her voice came through the wood with apologies, pleas, promises. Dad, please, can we talk? Michael's sorry. He was just drunk. You're worrying me. At least tell me you're okay. I sat 6 feet from the door each time, listening. Never responded. Not once. Silence was its own weapon. Let her worry. Let her feel uncertainty. On the 27th, Michael's voice joined hers, blustery and defensive. Come on, Harold. Don't be dramatic. It was a stupid joke. You're really going to hold a grudge forever? My jaw tightened, but I remained quiet as stone. After 10 minutes, they left. I heard Michael mutter something angry. Jennifer shushed him. They were fracturing. Good. That afternoon, when I heard them leave, car doors slamming, engines starting, tires on gravel, I emerged from my room. The house felt different, quieter. I went to my study and dialed from memory. 3 rings. Harold, is that you? Larry Bennett's voice carried warmth and concern. We'd known each other since 1997. Larry, I need to schedule a meeting. Professional matter. Early January, if possible. A pause. Larry knew me well enough to hear what I didn't say. Everything all right? I glanced at my closed bedroom door, at the staircase, at the photographs on the wall. Jennifer at 8 years old, gap-toothed and smiling. No, I said quietly, everything is not all right. But it will be. We scheduled for January 5th. I hung up feeling something cold and focused settling into my chest. Not rage, purpose. December 30th brought the moment everything crystallized. My phone rang. Donald Carter. Mr. Warren, just wanted to confirm. The Meadow Road property purchase is officially withdrawn. The sellers accepted the cancellation, though they're retaining your $10,000 earnest deposit, as stipulated in the contract. I'd expected this. Understood. Thank you, Donald. I was about to hang up when he continued, almost chatty. You know, it's funny. Michael called me last week, before you canceled, I mean. Asked some interesting questions. My attention sharpened. What kind of questions? Donald laughed, oblivious. Oh, about resale value. What comparable homes on Meadow Road sell for? Average time on market? Whether a quick sale might mean accepting below asking price? I figured he was just curious about the investment. Didn't think much of it until... He trailed off, realizing his mistake. The line went silent. Thank you, Donald, I said, voice like ice. That's very illuminating. I ended the call, sat perfectly still in my desk chair. Michael wasn't planning to live in the house. He was planning to flip it, cash out immediately. And Jennifer knew. She had to know. Something cracked inside me, not my heart breaking, but something harder, shifting into place. I picked up my phone, scrolled to the message thread with Larry, and typed, Could we move our meeting earlier? January 2nd, if you're available. This is urgent. The response came within minutes. My office, 10 a.m. I'll be there. I spent New Year's Eve as I'd spent Christmas, alone in my room, reviewing notes. Downstairs, I heard champagne corks pop at midnight. Didn't care. I was preparing. The new year brought no celebration, only cold clarity. On January 5th, I left my house for the first time since Christmas Eve. 9:30 in the morning, the sky the color of old steel. I drove my 12-year-old Lexus ES 350 down Round Hill Road toward Greenwich Avenue, then briefly onto I-95 before exiting toward Stamford. 19 minutes exactly. Larry's firm occupied the third floor of a brick building on Summer Street. Bennett and Associates, professional law corporation, established 1987. The receptionist, Diane, I'd known her 15 years, did a double take when I entered. "Mr. Warren, we weren't expecting you until—" She checked her computer. "Oh, you're right on time. Go ahead back. Larry's waiting." I walked down the familiar hallway, past framed diplomas and Connecticut bar certifications, to the corner office. Larry stood when I entered, genuine concern in his face. "Sit down, Harold. Tell me everything." I opened my leather notebook and placed it on his mahogany desk. For the next 40 minutes, I presented my case like a deposition. Facts only. Minimal emotion. The financial history. $30,000 for the wedding. $50,000 for Michael's failed startup. $19,000 in paid utilities over 24 months. $60,000 in foregone rent. Jennifer's behavioral shift, estate planning questions, assisted living suggestions, increasing focus on my finances rather than my well-being. Michael's Christmas Eve assault, described clinically, the public nature emphasized. Donald Carter's revelation, Michael's questions about quick resale values before closing. Larry made notes, asking pointed questions. "Did you document the canceled closing?" "Yes, email confirmation from Donald." "The $10,000 earnest deposit?" "Lost per contract terms." "Any witnesses to the Christmas incident?" 12 guests. When I finished, Larry sat back, removed his reading glasses, rubbed the bridge of his nose. "Harold, this is elder financial abuse territory, an attempted fraud." He paused. "I don't want them arrested. Not yet. I want them gone. Legally, cleanly, permanently. But I want to control the timing." Larry opened his desk drawer, retrieved a thick folder. Connecticut General Statutes, Property and Real Estate sections. He walked me through Section 47023, 30-day notice to quit for tenants at will. No lease, no rent paid. They're tenants at will. You can evict with simple, written notice. No cause required beyond ownership rights. He leaned forward. But if you want this to stick, if you want to prevent countersuits for constructive eviction or elder coercion, we need documentation. Lots of it. He proposed a plan. Obtain Michael's credit history legally through legitimate channels Larry had access to as part of a potential financial abuse investigation. Continue documenting behaviors. Wait until after the fake apologies came, and Larry predicted they would come, then strike. "You're playing chess," Larry said. "They're playing checkers. Let them make their moves while you control the board." "One more thing," I added. "I want to know exactly how deep Michael's debts go. Every card, every loan, every desperate attempt to get money." Larry nodded slowly. "I can submit a request through our firm's investigative service. It's legal if there's legitimate concern about financial exploitation. Given what you've told me, we have grounds. Give me a week." 5 days later, on January 10th, I was in my study reviewing property tax documents when a soft knock came at the door. "Dad, Michael and I would like to talk. Please." Jennifer's voice quieter than before. I considered ignoring them, but Larry's advice echoed, "Let them show their hand." I opened the door. Jennifer looked exhausted. Dark circles, hair pulled back hastily. Michael stood behind her, wearing an expression I recognized from countless business meetings. Rehearsed contrition. "Come in," I said neutrally. They entered carefully, like animals approaching a trap. "Harold, I owe you a huge apology." Michael's speech was smooth, practiced. What I did on Christmas Eve was inexcusable. I'd been drinking too much, stressed about work, and I completely lost perspective. It was meant as a joke, a terrible, awful joke, but I see now how hurtful it was. Jennifer added, "Dad, we both feel horrible. Michael knows he crossed a line. We've been worried sick about you." I watched them. Jennifer's hands twisted together, genuine anxiety. Michael's eyes kept flicking to my desk. to my face, searching for reaction. I let the silence stretch. 20 seconds? 30. I appreciate you saying that, Michael. I need some time to process everything that happened. Michael's relief was visible. Of course. Take all the time you need. We just wanted you to know how sorry we are. There was a pause. Then Michael, unable to help himself, the house situation, is that something we can still discuss? When you're ready? There it is, I thought. The real reason. We'll see. Like I said, I need time. They left. I immediately made notes. Jan 10, 10:15 a.m. Apology attempt. Michael's primary concern, house gift status. Used words inexcusable. Stressed about work. Lie, he has no job. Asked about house within 3 minutes. Over the next 2 weeks, I became invisible in my own home. I learned their patterns. Michael leaving around 10 most mornings, supposedly to the gym. Jennifer working from home, taking calls in the kitchen from 2 to 4. I moved when they didn't. Retrieved mail, checked the office, observed. I went through trash. Not kitchen garbage, too obvious, but recycling bins outside, the paper shredder bag, Jennifer's bathroom wastebasket. Found a Chase statement dated January 12th. Minimum payment $485. Past due notation. A crumpled AT&T bill. Service suspended. $327 owing. I photographed everything, created dated folders, emailed copies to my secure account. On January 18th, I heard Michael on the phone in the guest room, voice low but audible. I know. The closing got delayed. It's temporary. No, he's fine. Just old and stubborn. Look, once we sort this out, I'll have access to liquidity. I promise. Pause. What do you mean, last chance? Give me until end of February, please. Longer pause. Tony, I'm good for it. Have I ever not paid you back? Apparently Tony disagreed. Fine. End of February. You'll get your 15 grand. Click. I returned to my desk, made a note. John 18, 2:40 p.m. Phone call. Name. Tony. Amount owed, $15,000. Threat implied. Deadline, end of February. Michael claims liquidity coming soon. He still thought the house gift was happening. Just delayed. January 25th. A FedEx envelope arrived at Larry's office, marked for my attention. I drove to collect it, signed for receipt. Back in my car, parked in the lot, I opened it. 33 pages. Page 1. Michael David Phillips, date of birth, August 14th, 1987. Current address, my house. Credit score, 542. Poor, I read methodically. 7 credit cards, all at 95 to 100% utilization. Chase Sapphire Reserve, 22,000 balance, 22,000 limit. American Express Blue, 15,000. Capital One Venture, 18,000. Discover, 12. Citi, 8. Bank of America, 6. Wells Fargo, 4. Total, $85,000. 2 personal loans. Lending Club, $15,000 at 24% APR. Marcus by Goldman Sachs, $12,000 at 21%. Monthly debt service, approximately $3,200. Current income, 0. Page 17 made me go still. Recent credit inquiries. Home equity line of credit. First Republic Bank. Application date 11/18/2024. Denied. Property address 47 Round Hill Road, Greenwich, CT. Michael tried to borrow against my house 2 months ago, while living under my roof, while I was planning to gift them $1 million property. I sat in the parking lot, winter sun streaming through the windshield. Didn't feel angry, felt vindicated. Every suspicion confirmed, every doubt erased. I drove home, placed the report in my locked desk drawer next to the notebook. The lock clicked with a solid final sound. The evidence was complete. Now came the reckoning. Early February arrived with winter still gripping Greenwich. I'd spent the final days of January reviewing my evidence, ensuring nothing was overlooked. On February 5th, Donald officially notified the prospective buyers that the Meadow Road deal was canceled. 2 days later, the consequences arrived. Michael retrieved the mail around 11. I heard him outside, then his footsteps returning. A pause, then faster movement, almost running back inside. 3 minutes later, my study door slammed open without knocking. Michael stood in the doorway, Jennifer behind him, both looking like they'd seen something terrible. He waved a certified letter like a weapon. "What is this? What did you do?" I removed my reading glasses slowly, set them on the desk. "I assume you received notice about the canceled house purchase. I informed Donald in December." Michael stepped forward aggressively. "This letter says we owe $15,000 to people we've never met for a house we never got." I kept my voice level. "You owe that money because the cancellation created financial damages for innocent third parties. That's how contracts work." Jennifer's eyes filled with tears. "Dad, how could you? We apologized. We tried to make things right. And you just destroyed our future? Over one mistake?" I stood slowly, deliberately. "One mistake? That's what we're calling Christmas Eve? Interesting." Michael's voice rose. "I was drunk. I apologized. You're really going to hold a grudge forever over a stupid joke?" "It wasn't a joke," I said, "and it wasn't just that night. But let's discuss that." I walked to my desk, opened the locked drawer, removed a manila folder. Inside, printed emails, handwritten notes, highlighted sections. "Michael, do you remember speaking with Donald Carter on December 20th? 4 days before Christmas. 4 days before you poured garbage on me." Michael's bravado flickered. What are you talking about?" I read from the notes, word for word. "Conversation between Donald Carter and Michael Phillips, December 20th, 2024, 3:45 p.m. Michael inquired about resale values for properties on Meadow Road. Specifically asked, what's the realistic sale price if we wanted to move quickly? Like, within 3 months of closing. Also asked about average days on market, whether quick sales typically require price reductions, and whether $850,000 would be achievable for a fast transaction. I looked up. The house was valued at $1.05 million. You were planning to sell it for $850,000 immediately, a $200,000 loss in value. Where was that money going, Michael? The room went silent. Jennifer turned to him, face pale. You were going to sell it? The house Dad was giving us? Michael's face reddened. So what? Once it's ours, we can do whatever we want with it. That's what property ownership means. My smile felt cold on my face. Except it was never going to be yours. It was a gift, given in good faith, based on trust, which you violated before you ever received it. This is ridiculous, Michael sputtered. You can't hold preliminary questions about how to flip a gift for $200,000 less than its value? I interrupted. That wasn't curiosity, Michael. That was a plan. Jennifer's voice shook. Dad, please. Can't we just start over? We'll pay back the $15,000 somehow. We'll fix this. I shook my head, removed another document from the folder. The credit report, flagged sections visible. There's more, Jennifer. Things you don't know about your husband. I placed the document on the desk between us. On November 18th, 2024, Michael applied for a home equity line of credit with First Republic Bank. The collateral? This house. My house. The one he doesn't own. The application listed this address, claimed ownership interest, and requested $200,000 in available credit. Jennifer's hand went to her mouth. That can't be. The bank denied it, obviously once they verified title records, but the attempt was made. Michael tried to borrow money against my property without my knowledge or consent. I looked at Michael. That's fraud. That's a crime. Jennifer turned to him, eyes wide. Michael, tell me this isn't true, he stammered. It wasn't. I thought once we got the house, It was just preliminary research. His words trailed into nothing. I placed the document on the desk with deliberate care. You planned to flip my gift for cash to cover your debts. When that didn't work fast enough, you tried to fraudulently use my home as loan collateral. And when I objected to being treated like garbage, literally, you called me dramatic. I sat back down. The gift is canceled, permanently. I suggest you figure out how to handle that lawyer's letter on your own. 5 seconds of silence. Then Michael exploded. You self-righteous old man! We gave up 2 years living in this prison, taking care of you, dealing with your complaints, your problems. We earned that house. My voice cut through like ice. You lived rent-free in a $2.3 million home. I paid your bills. You earned nothing. Michael lunged forward. not attacking, but aggressive, intimidating. You think you can just screw us over? You think there's no consequences? We'll sue you for everything you've got. I didn't flinch. For what? Canceling a gift that was mine to give or withhold? Be my guest. I have an excellent attorney. You'll regret this, Michael hissed. I'll make sure of it. Is that a threat? I should document that. Jennifer sobbed. Dad, please. I know Michael made mistakes. I know we both did. But we're family. Doesn't that mean anything? I looked at my daughter. For a moment my expression softened, but only slightly. It meant everything, Jennifer. That's why this hurts. But family doesn't scheme and defraud and humiliate each other. We can fix this, she pleaded. We can make it right. Just give us a chance. I walked to the door, opened it wide. This conversation is over. I have nothing more to say to either of you. They stood there, stunned. Jennifer pulled at Michael's arm. As they moved toward the door, I called after them. One more thing. Start looking for apartments. You won't be staying here much longer either. The door closed behind them with a decisive click. Late February passed in frozen silence. Michael and Jennifer stayed in their room, emerging only for necessities. I heard arguments through the walls, their voices tight with panic and rage. Jennifer crying late at night. Michael's angry phone calls trying to find attorneys. 3 lawyers refused his case once they learned Larry Bennett represented me. By early March, I sensed Michael would try something desperate. I was right. On March 5th, at 2:17 in the afternoon, someone called Connecticut Department of Social Services, Adult Protective Services Division. The voice was male, mid-30s, slightly nervous. I'm calling about an elderly man I'm concerned about. Harold Warren, 65 years old, lives on Round Hill Road in Greenwich. I'm a neighbor. He's been acting strangely, giving contradictory orders about his property, talking about canceling major financial transactions he already committed to. Seems confused. I'm worried someone might be taking advantage of him, or he might have early dementia. The intake specialist made notes. Can we reach you for follow-up? I'd rather stay anonymous. Don't want neighborhood drama. But please, someone should evaluate him. He's clearly not thinking straight. The call disconnected. Larry phoned me that evening. They'll probably send someone within 3 business days. Standard protocol. When they arrive, be cooperative. Take whatever assessment they offer. You'll be fine. 3 days later, March 8th, 10:30 in the morning, my doorbell rang. I'd been expecting it. I opened the door to find a woman in her late 40s, professional attire, laminated ID badge visible. Mr. Warren, I'm Patricia Delgado from Adult Protective Services. I apologize for arriving unannounced. We received a concern call about your well-being. May I come in? I opened the door wider. Of course, please. We sat in the living room. She explained. Someone reported concerns about confusion, irrational property decisions, potential cognitive decline. I need to ask, do you feel you're being pressured or taken advantage of by anyone in your life? I almost smiled. Quite the opposite. I recently discovered family members were attempting to take advantage of me. I took appropriate legal action. Someone apparently didn't like that. She nodded thoughtfully. Would you be willing to participate in a brief cognitive screening, just to document that you're capable of making your own decisions? Absolutely. I insist on it. Ms. Delgado removed a clipboard with printed forms. This is the mini mental state examination. Standard screening tool. Maximum score is 30 points. Most people over 60 score between 24 and 30. Below 24 suggests cognitive impairment. She began. What is today's date? March 8th, 2025. What day of the week? Saturday. What season are we in? Early spring. What country are we in? United States. She continued through orientation questions, all of which I answered correctly. Memory testing. She gave me 3 words to remember, asked me to repeat them immediately, then again after 5 minutes. I recalled 2 perfectly. The third took a moment. 1 point deducted, but within normal range. Attention tasks. Serial subtraction of 7 from 100. I closed my eyes briefly to concentrate, worked down to 72 before a slight hesitation, then self-corrected and continued. Language exercises, naming objects, following 3-step commands, writing a complete sentence, copying a geometric design. 23 minutes later, she set down her clipboard. Mr. Warren, You scored 29 out of 30. That's excellent for any age, let alone 65. You're well above the threshold for concern. And the person who called you? Her expression hardened slightly. Between us? The complaint appears to have been malicious. Someone wanted to create problems for you. I'm closing this case and noting that in my report. If this was retaliation for you taking legal action to protect yourself, that's abuse of the reporting system. She stood, shook my hand. You're clearly quite sharp, Mr. Warren. Good luck with your family situation. After she left, I returned to my study and sent Larry a text. APS visit complete. Scored 2930. Case closed. Proceed with next phase. 4 days later, March 12th, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I stood at the bottom of the staircase. Michael, Jennifer, please come to the living room. We need to discuss your housing situation. Silence for 30 seconds. Then footsteps. They appeared at the top of the stairs, descended slowly. Michael's face was guarded. Jennifer looked exhausted. They sat on the sofa. I took my leather armchair across from them, holding a document in a folder. I'll keep this brief. 5 days ago, someone called Adult Protective Services claiming I was mentally incompetent. The complaint was anonymous, but my attorney traced it. I looked directly at Michael. The burner phone was purchased at CVS on Summer Street in Stamford on March 4th. Security footage shows the purchaser. Credit card records confirm identity. You, Michael. Michael started to protest. I didn't. I raised a hand. Please, don't insult both our intelligence. A social worker visited me. I took a cognitive assessment, scored in the 97th percentile. The case was closed and flagged as malicious. I opened the folder, removed the document, placed it on the coffee table between them. This is a notice to quit, prepared by my attorney pursuant to Connecticut General Statutes, Section 4708-23. You are tenants at will in my property. I am terminating that tenancy. You have 30 days from today to vacate these premises. Your deadline is April 15th, 2025, by 5 p.m. 3 seconds of silence. Then Michael exploded. You can't do this. We have rights. You can't just throw us out without cause. I can, and I am. Connecticut law is clear. You pay no rent. You have no lease. I want my property back. That's sufficient cause. Jennifer's voice broke. Dad, please. Where are we supposed to go? We have no money, no savings, nowhere to live. You've had 30 days since our February discussion to prepare. That's 60 days, total. Most people don't get that much notice. Michael, desperate now. We'll fight this. We'll take you to court. We'll sue for wrongful eviction, elder abuse, coercion. My cold smile returned. Please do. My attorney will present evidence of your attempted fraud, your loan application using my property as collateral, your scheme to flip my gift for cash, and now your abuse of social services to harass me. Which judge do you think will side with you? Michael stood, paced, hands and fists. This is insane. You're destroying your own family over money. Not over money. Over respect. Over honesty. Over basic human decency. You had all three available to you. You chose differently. Jennifer tried once more. There has to be another way. I shook my head. The notice is served, 30 days. If you're not out by April 15th, I'll file for eviction in housing court. The sheriff will remove you. I'd prefer to avoid that embarrassment, but the choice is yours. I stood, walked toward the stairs. Over my shoulder. I suggest you start packing. Michael shouted something after me. I didn't respond. Just continued up the stairs, each step deliberate and final. Behind me I heard Jennifer crying softly. The remainder of March passed in tense silence. Michael made desperate calls to attorneys. All refused. Jennifer searched for apartments online, but their credit and lack of income closed every door. April arrived with spring thaw and mounting dread. The 15th was coming. On April 2nd, I retrieved mail from the box at the end of my driveway. Clear morning, crocuses pushing through the last patches of snow. Fred Morrison, my 70-year-old neighbor from 2 houses down, was walking his golden retriever. Harold, how are you? Haven't seen you out much lately. We exchanged pleasantries, weather, property taxes, the usual suburban talk. Then Fred lowered his voice slightly. Hey, saw your son-in-law last week, Thursday evening, at the Ginger Man on Greenwich Avenue. You know that place. I nodded. Fred shifted uncomfortably. He was with a woman, not Jennifer. Redhead, younger. They were sitting pretty close. Real close. Holding hands across the table. He cleared his throat. Probably nothing. Maybe a business associate. But I thought you should know. In case. I kept my expression neutral. Thank you, Fred. I appreciate you mentioning it. He looked relieved, walked on with his dog. I stood there, mail in hand, processing. Another piece falling into place. I went directly to my study and called Larry. I need a private investigator. Surveillance, Michael Phillips. I need photographs. 3 days later, I drove to a small coffee shop in Stamford. Caf, Sylvium, quiet, favored by freelancers with laptops. Amanda Rodriguez was already there, mid-20s, black blazer over a band t-shirt, sharp eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses. Larry had connected us. He knew her editor, vouched for her integrity and hunger for real stories. I sat across from her, ordered black coffee. Thank you for meeting me. She flipped open a reporter's notebook. Larry said you have information about financial fraud in Greenwich. I'm interested. I slid a manila envelope across the table. Inside, credit reports with names redacted but details visible, bank statements showing the failed startup, loan applications, documentation of debts totaling over $130,000, references to disputed charges at online gaming sites. There's an individual in Greenwich, I won't name him, who's been running an investment scam, claims to have a revolutionary tech startup, took money from friends and family. The startup failed 2 years ago, but he continues living as though it succeeded, deep in debt, possibly involved in online gambling to try to dig out. Her eyes widened as she reviewed the documents. This is solid. Why bring this to me? Because people should know, because he's hurt people, and because truth matters. I'll need to verify everything independently. I'd expect nothing less. I stood. One more thing. He has a pattern of manipulating elderly people for financial gain. That's not in the documents, but it's true. I left before she could ask more questions. April 12th arrived. The Greenwich Time online edition went live at 6 a.m. By 7, I heard Michael's phone ringing downstairs over and over. The print edition hit doorsteps at 8. I retrieved my copy, unfolded it, at my breakfast table. Page 3. Local startup founder faces $130K in debt. Gambling questions raised by Amanda Rodriguez. The article was devastating. Michael wasn't named, but the details were unmistakable. A Greenwich resident who founded a tech startup in 2022, claimed revolutionary AI solutions, took investments from family, promised returns that never materialized. Startup dissolved in 2023, yet the founder continued representing himself as an active entrepreneur while accumulating massive debt, credit cards exceeding $85,000, personal loans totaling $27,000, disputed charges to online gaming platforms. Public records showed multiple rejected loan applications, including an unusual attempt to secure a home equity line using property not owned by the applicant. By 9 a.m., Jennifer's voice came from downstairs, frantic. Did you see this? Did you see what they wrote? Michael's response was inaudible. Their phones didn't stop ringing. By afternoon, 3 different cars slowed in front of the house, neighbors gawking. The public shaming had begun. 2 days later, April 14th, 6:30 in the morning, I woke early. Larry's investigator had delivered photographs. Michael and a redhead at the Ginger Man. April 1st, 7:45 p.m. Multiple shots. Entering together, sitting in a corner booth, holding hands, Michael kissing her cheek. I selected the most damning photo. Michael leaning across the table, hand on her face, clearly intimate. Printed it on high-quality photo paper at Staples. Placed it in a standard frame. That morning, while they slept, I made my usual coffee and toast, read the paper. Then I placed the framed photograph on the kitchen table, slightly off-center where it would be immediately visible. Propped it against the fruit bowl. Returned to my study. At 7:45, Jennifer's footsteps descended. Her morning routine, coffee first. The kitchen door swung open. 10 seconds of silence. Then a gasp. Michael! Michael, get down here right now! The screaming started. Who is this? Who is she? Michael groggy. What are you talking about? This picture. Is this you? Is this you with another woman? A crash, the frame hitting the floor. Where did that come from? That's not... Don't lie to me. I can see the date. April 1st. You told me you had a business dinner. The fight escalated. Objects breaking, furniture scraping, Jennifer sobbing, Michael shouting denials that dissolved into weak justifications. The marriage died in my kitchen. I listened from upstairs without expression. April 15th arrived. By morning, the house was eerily quiet. Around 11, Michael appeared at the top of the stairs, duffel bag in hand. Face haggard, unshaven, eyes red. He saw me in the living room. Stopped. We looked at each other. His mouth opened, then closed. What was there to say? I didn't break the silence. After 30 seconds, he descended, walked to the front door, opened it, stopped, looked back. I met his gaze. Expression unchanged. He left. The door closed with a soft click. 20 minutes later, Jennifer emerged from the guest room. She looked shattered, face blotchy, eyes swollen, same clothes from yesterday. She descended slowly, each step an effort. Dad, I'm so sorry. About everything. I'm filing for divorce. I know I don't deserve to ask, but could I stay here? Just a little longer, until I find a place. She was crying. I have nowhere else to go. I'll pay rent. I'll do whatever you ask, please. I stood at my study door, arms crossed, studying her. My daughter. Who chose a criminal over her father? Who smiled when I was humiliated? Who was only here now because she had no other options? Is this remorse or desperation? Finally, come to my study. We need to discuss terms. 24 hours after Michael's departure, Jennifer knocked on my study door. She'd showered, changed clothes, looked marginally more composed. You said we needed to discuss terms. I'm ready. I gestured to the chair across from my desk, the same chair where clients once sat. Professional distance maintained. If you stay here, you're no longer my dependent. You're a tenant. That means rent. $500 per month. Due the first of each month. She nodded quickly. I can do that. I'll get a job. I raised my hand. You will pay your own utilities. Phone, car insurance, health insurance if you can afford it. I will not receive bills with your name on them. Okay, yes. You will attend family therapy, weekly sessions with a licensed therapist. I've already compiled a list of qualified professionals. You'll choose one and provide me with confirmation of your appointments. She blinked. Therapy? Yes. I need to know you understand what went wrong, how you allowed yourself to be manipulated, how you can prevent it in the future. Her voice was small. I'll do it. I leaned back. These are not negotiable. If you miss rent, you leave. If you skip therapy, you leave. If you bring Michael into my home or provide him with any support, financial or otherwise, you leave immediately. Are we clear? She nodded, tears forming. Crystal clear. Thank you, Dad. Thank you for giving me another chance. I didn't smile. Don't thank me yet. Prove you deserve it. The first 2 weeks of April were a trial period. Jennifer stayed in the guest room, kept to herself, started job searching online. I watched carefully for signs this was manipulation versus genuine change. On May 1st, she brought me a personal check, number 1001, first check in a new account, $500, signed and dated. I examined it professionally, nodded, took out the receipt book I'd bought at Staples specifically for this purpose. Thank you. Rent received for May. I filled out a receipt, tore it off, handed it to her. The formality reinforced everything. On May 8th, a certified mail envelope arrived. I signed for it, carried it to my study. Phillips versus Warren, Stamford Superior Court, Civil Division. I read the claims with growing amusement. Breach of oral contract. Michael claimed my promise of the house was legally binding. Promissory estoppel. Unjust enrichment. He valued his companionship and household assistance at $50,000 annually. Restitution of investment, wanted his startup money back. I called Larry. You're going to enjoy this. I read selected passages aloud. His laughter came through the phone. Companionship and household assistance? He poured garbage on your head. This is frivolous. Any first-year law student could get it dismissed. So we'll attend the hearing? Absolutely. I want to watch this case die in front of a judge. June 15th. Mark your calendar. This will be entertaining. 4 days later, Jennifer officially filed for divorce at Stamford Superior Court. Irretrievable breakdown, adultery. May continued. Jennifer paid rent on time. Attended therapy every Wednesday at 4 p.m. I verified the appointments with Dr. Linda Chen's office. 90 minutes later, her car returned. On May 18th, Jennifer cooked dinner for the first time since childhood. Baked chicken, roasted vegetables, simple salad. She set the table carefully, used the good dishes. We ate in silence for several minutes. Finally, she set down her fork. Dad, I need to say something. A real apology. Not like before. I continued cutting my chicken, didn't look up. For years, Michael told me you were selfish, that you had more money than you needed and should help us more, that successful parents owed their children a head start. I started seeing you as an obstacle, a resource to be managed, not a person to be loved. Her voice cracked. I don't know when it happened. When I stopped asking how you were feeling and started asking about your financial plans. When I stopped visiting because I wanted to and started visiting because Michael said we should maintain the relationship. I'm so ashamed. I set down my knife and fork, looked at her, waited. Christmas Eve. When Michael did that, I should have stopped him. I should have walked out with you. Instead, I smiled. I let him humiliate you because some terrible part of me thought you deserved it for canceling the gift. She was crying now. What kind of person thinks that? She wiped her eyes. I don't know if you can ever forgive me. I'm not sure I can forgive myself, but I'm trying to understand how I became that person. That's why I'm here. That's why I'll do the therapy, pay the rent, whatever you ask. Because I need to figure out how to be your daughter again. I was quiet for a long time. That's the first honest thing you've said to me in a year. Maybe longer. She looked up, hopeful. I shook my head slightly. But words are easy, Jennifer. Change is hard. Keep going to therapy. Keep paying your rent. Show me through actions, not apologies. She nodded. I will. I promise I will. Late evening, May 25th, I was reading in my study when pounding echoed through the house. Aggressive, repeated, desperate. I checked my watch. Nearly 11. Walked downstairs, checked the peephole. Michael stood on the porch, swaying, fist raised to pound again. I opened the door but left the screen. Latched. It's late, Michael. You need to leave. His eyes were bloodshot, speech slurred. Need to talk to Jennifer. She's my wife. Can't keep me from my wife. She's filed for divorce. She doesn't want to see you. That's your fault. You poisoned her against me. His voice rose. Jennifer! A light turned on upstairs. I heard her door open. Stay upstairs, Jennifer. He's leaving. Her voice frightened. Michael, go home, please. See? She'll talk to me. My voice hardened. No. You're drunk. You're on my property uninvited. Leave or I'm calling the police. Michael's face contorted. You think you won? You think this is over? I'll tell everyone what you did. The newspapers. How you manipulated us. Destroyed us out of spite. My voice was soft, almost gentle. Go ahead, Michael. Tell them. Tell them how you poured garbage on an elderly man's head during Christmas dinner. Tell them how you tried to flip a gift house for cash to cover gambling debts. Tell them how you attempted to fraudulently use my home as loan collateral. Tell them how you cheated on your wife. Please. That will definitely win sympathy. His face drained of color. The fight went out of him. He staggered backward off the porch. This isn't... You can't... I closed the door, locked it, returned to my study. From the window, I watched him stumble to his car, fumble with keys, drive away in unsteady zigzags. I picked up my phone, called the Greenwich Police non-emergency line, reported a likely drunk driver, provided vehicle description and direction of travel, then returned to my book. The first 2 weeks of June passed quietly. Jennifer paid rent, continued therapy, started her library job. Then June 15th arrived. Larry picked me up at 9. Ready to watch a case implode? Ready. We drove to Stamford Superior Court, parked in the structure, walked across the plaza toward the limestone building. Inside, security, metal detectors, the familiar courthouse smell of floor wax and recycled air. Third floor, courtroom 3B. Judge Patricia Womack's courtroom was utilitarian. Wood paneling, state seal behind the bench, fluorescent lighting. Michael and Thomas Hayward were already seated at the plaintiff's table. Michael wore an ill-fitting suit, probably borrowed. He looked thin, haggard. When I entered, his eyes tracked me with hatred and fear. Larry and I took our seats at the defense table. He opened his briefcase, organized folders, labeled tabs. Every document in perfect order. At 10:02, the bailiff called, "All rise!" The Honorable Judge Patricia Womack presiding. A woman in her late 50s, steel-gray hair, no-nonsense expression, took the bench. "Be seated. Case number CV 2025-3847, Phillips v. Warren. Mr. Hayward, you may present your opening argument." Hayward's opening was rambling, desperate. Harold made a clear promise. Michael relied on it. Broken promises have consequences. Judge Womack listened with increasing impatience. When Larry stood, his voice was calm, precise, devastating. "Your Honor, Connecticut law is unambiguous. The Statute of Frauds, Section 52-50, explicitly requires contracts for real estate to be in writing. Oral promises regarding property are legally unenforceable, regardless of the plaintiff's reliance." He placed a document before the judge. Printed statute, relevant sections highlighted. The plaintiff presents no written contract, no signed agreement, no documented promise. Only his claim that words were spoken. Hayward objected, but the defendant had clear intent. He contacted a realtor. "Initial discussions do not constitute binding contracts," Larry interrupted smoothly. The defendant retained the right to cancel at any point before closing, which he did, legally and properly. The judge made notes. Larry continued. "Furthermore, the plaintiff has demonstrated a pattern of financial fraud targeting the defendant." He presented the credit report, highlighting the November loan application. "The plaintiff attempted to obtain a home equity line of credit using my client's property he did not own, as collateral. This application was rightfully denied, but demonstrates willingness to engage in fraudulent activity." Hayward sputtered objections. "Overruled," Judge Womack said. "Continue, Mr. Bennett." The defense calls Rebecca Walsh. A woman in her early 40s, professional suit, leather portfolio, took the stand. Sworn in. Larry established her credentials. Certified forensic accountant. 15 years analyzing financial fraud. Frequent expert witness. "Ms. Walsh, did you review financial records related to the plaintiff?" "I did. His bank statements, credit card records, business documentation for October 2022 through March 2023. "What did you find regarding the $50,000 payment he claims was an investment requiring repayment?" Rebecca opened her portfolio, removed charts, and highlighted statements. The defendant sent the plaintiff $50,000 via wire transfer on October 12, 2022. However, the accompanying documentation explicitly states, and I quote, "I gift you this money to help you start your business. Use it wisely and make me proud." That's definitional language of a gift, not an investment or loan. Hayward objected. The witness is interpreting. She's reading a document. Overruled. Continue. "Furthermore, my analysis shows only $12,000 was spent on legitimate business expenses. The remaining $38,000 was used to pay off personal credit card debts, totaling $24,000. with the remaining $14,000 spent on online gambling sites. She displayed bank records with highlighted transactions, deposits to offshore casino accounts, sports betting platforms, poker sites. The courtroom went silent. Judge Womack leaned forward. Mr. Phillips represented this as a business investment while spending nearly 80% on personal debts and gambling. "That's correct, Your Honor." Judge Womack didn't even recess. She looked directly at Michael. "Mr. Phillips, your case is without merit on multiple grounds. Connecticut law requires written contracts for real estate. You have none. The $50,000 was explicitly described as a gift. You have no legal claim to repayment. Moreover, your attempt to fraudulently use Mr. Warren's property as loan collateral demonstrates precisely why he was justified in canceling any proposed gift." She turned to Hayward. "Mr. Hayward, I'm surprised you filed this complaint. It borders on frivolous. All claims are dismissed with prejudice. Furthermore, Mr. Phillips is ordered to pay Mr. Warren's reasonable attorney fees." $8,500, Your Honor," Larry said. "I can provide itemization immediately." "Approved. Mr. Phillips, you have 30 days to pay. This court is adjourned." The gavel fell. Michael sat motionless, face drained of color. Outside in the hallway, Jennifer was sitting on a bench. She'd come in case she was called as a witness. When she saw us emerge, she stood. Michael stumbled out moments later, saw her, started toward her. "Jen, please, we need to talk." Her voice was ice. No, we don't. My attorney will contact you about the divorce. Don't call me. Don't come to the house. She walked to my side. Michael stood alone in the courthouse hallway, watching us leave together. 10 days later, June 25th, I asked Jennifer to meet me in my study. Evening, quiet house, desk lamp casting warm light. She sat in the client chair, nervous. I slid a bound document across the desk. Last will and testament of Harold Warren. She didn't touch it. You're still my primary beneficiary. Everything I have goes to you eventually. But there are conditions. I opened to a tabbed section, pointed. The estate transfers to a trust managed by Larry. You receive monthly distributions equivalent to modest living expenses. Full control transfers to you at age 45, but only if you meet certain requirements. Her voice was small. What requirements? Demonstrate 5 consecutive years of financial responsibility, steady employment, no significant debt. Complete at least 2 years of therapy with documented progress. If you marry again, your spouse has no claim to trust assets. Without a prenuptial agreement, I would have approved. Her eyes filled with tears. You don't trust me. My voice softened slightly. I'm protecting you. From opportunists. From yourself. These conditions aren't punishment. They're guardrails. Show me you can manage money responsibly, maintain emotional health, make wise decisions, and the money is yours. But there won't be easy access. The house? You can't sell it for 10 years after my death. Live in it, rent it out, whatever. But not sell. I won't have it flipped for cash. She nodded slowly. I understand. I accept. Thank you for not cutting me out completely. You're my daughter. I love you. But love doesn't mean enabling bad decisions. She stood, walked around the desk, hugged me, tentative at first, then genuine. I stiffened initially, then carefully placed one hand on her back. Brief, formal, but real. July arrived with summer heat and cautious optimism. Jennifer paid July rent before I woke. The check appeared under my study door. July 15th, she came home excited. Dad, look! She showed me a letter. Greenwich Library offered me the administrative coordinator position. $68,000 a year, full benefits. Start August 1st. I read it carefully. Congratulations, that's a solid position. I know it's not glamorous, but it's honest work, and it's mine. Honest work is more valuable than you realize. Be proud of it. The weeks established a rhythm. Wednesday afternoons, her car left for therapy, returned 90 minutes later. Thursday evenings, she cooked simple dinners, set 2 places. We ate together with minimal conversation but no tension. Saturday mornings, we shopped for groceries together. She helped with the garden, weeding, watering, reading the gardening book I'd left on the porch table. By August, I realized I hadn't checked her therapy attendance in 3 weeks. I simply trusted she was going. On August 15th, the divorce decree arrived. Jennifer brought it to my study unopened. It's final today. Do you want to read it? I shook my head. That's your business, but I'm glad it's done. She opened it, scanned the language, laughed bitterly. The prenup. Michael insisted on it 7 years ago because I had nothing and he was so confident. Now it protects me from his debts. Ironic. Irony is often instructive. A week later, Larry called. Michael filed for bankruptcy. Chapter 7. He's moving to his brother's place in Bridgeport. Thank you for letting me know. After hanging up, I sat quietly. No triumph, no pity, just closure. September arrived with early autumn, my 66th birthday. September 5th. Jennifer spent the afternoon in the kitchen. Around 2 p.m., she appeared in my study doorway. Dad, did your doctor say anything specific about the soup? Like which vegetables are safest? I consulted my memory of Dr. Richardson's guidelines. Carrots, celery, potato are fine, nothing acidic. Low sodium, simple broth base. She nodded, returned to the kitchen. At 5, Fred Morrison arrived, Oxford shirt, khakis, bottle of modest wine. Harold, happy birthday, 66, you're still a youngster. At 6, Jennifer called us to the dining room. The table was set properly, cloth napkins, good dishes, candles. In the center, a tureen of soup, steam rising gently. She ladled soup into my bowl first. Clear broth, soft vegetables, aromatic but mild. She met my eyes. The soup I promised you 9 months ago. I'm sorry it took so long. We ate. The soup was good, not elaborate, but carefully made, appropriate for my needs. After the main course, Jennifer stood, glass in hand. I need to say something. Dad, I'm so sorry for everything, for letting greed blind me, for choosing material things over our relationship, for standing by while someone humiliated you in your own home. Her voice cracked, but she continued. You were always there, supporting me, helping me, loving me, and I took it all for granted. I treated you like an obstacle instead of my father. Tears now, but she didn't look away. Thank you for not abandoning me completely. Thank you for the painful lesson I desperately needed. I'm trying to be better. Every day, I'm trying. I set down my spoon, wiped my mouth. Jennifer, I did what I believed was just. Not revenge, justice. Michael got what he deserved because his actions warranted consequences. You got a second chance because I believe you can learn from mistakes. I paused. But the chance is only opportunity. What you do with it, that's entirely your choice. Keep making good ones. Fred raised his glass. To second chances and good choices. Later, after Fred left and Jennifer was cleaning the kitchen, she paused by my study. Dad? I looked up. She crossed the room, bent down, hugged me. No hesitation this time. I set down my book, put both arms around her, held her. I love you, Dad. I love you too, sweetheart. Night fell. The house grew quiet. I took my cup of soup. Jennifer had saved some for me, reheated it, and walked to the porch. The wicker chair creaked as I sat. September evening, crickets singing, the garden visible in fading light. The roses still blooming. The maple tree showing first hints of color change. I sipped the soup, feeling its warmth, its simplicity, its care. 9 months ago, I stood in my living room, covered in garbage, humiliated, betrayed by the people I'd loved most. Now I sat in peace, my daughter's sincere apology echoing, justice served, boundaries established, relationships rebuilt on better foundations. People say revenge is a dish best served cold, but I learned something different. Justice is a dish served at the right time, in the right portion with the right recipe. And that recipe is simple. Respect, dignity, and knowing your worth. Respect yourself enough to demand it from others. Maintain dignity even when others lose theirs. Know your worth so you never settle for being treated as less than you are. Michael never learned those lessons. Jennifer's learning them now. And me? I simply remembered what I'd forgotten while being generous. Kindness without boundaries isn't kindness. It's enabling. Real love includes accountability. Sometimes the greatest gift you can give someone is letting them face the consequences of their choices, then offering a hand up when they're ready to change. I finished the soup, watched the stars emerge, felt the autumn breeze. Peace. If you like this story, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share your impressions of this story in the comments. To listen to the next story, click on the box on the left. Thank you for watching.